Hello, it's Beard from the future, here to tell you that for like the first 30 minutes of this episode, I forgot to record the audio for everyone else, so you're just going to hear me. So I cut together the important bits and then cut to the part where we were talking because that's what editors do. Sorry about that. Here's the rest of the episode.
Welcome to the tutorial. Sorry for your ears. If you're here to learn something, I'm sorry for your ears. Yeah, okay, so this week on the tutorial, we're talking about manga. So I have a brief history of manga, and I will go over it quickly because it's heavily abridged and not very much. So I'll go over that quickly. So we can keep Zeta entertained, I guess. There's not so many facts and figures. So according to the research that I did, which was maybe Wikipedia, I won't say for sure. They say they say the origins of manga date back to ancient scrolls from the Edo period, which is Edo or Edo, however you say it, which is from 1603 to 1867. Maybe Wikipedia had a whole article about how some of the ancient drawings were similar in style to classic manga, and how the word manga started to be used more widely in the 18th century. The gist of it is that the foundation is heavily rooted in Japanese tradition. But what interested me more than that, actually, was how the style of more modern manga sort of came into being. I didn't know this, and when I read it, I was like, wait, I mean that makes sense, but like that's kind of cool. It's also kind of terrible. You'll see what I mean. So traditionally, and you can see this in like classic Japanese art. Early Japanese illustrations were more based on or inspired by like Chinese graphic illustrations because they've been doing that for fucking centuries. However, a lot of that changed. In fact, it took a pretty sharp turn towards the style we're used to after World War II. So there's a period like right at the end of World War II or like right after the end of World War II from like 1945 to 1952, where Allied forces were occupying Japan. And it was during this time where sort of the origin of like modern manga came from, which, according to what I read, is attributed to two major things. The first being psychological trauma from losing two fucking cities, and the desire to turn away from trauma and move towards more cute or kawaii things. The other big influence, of course, was the fact that we had a bunch of us Western people occupying Japan, and we brought with us Western media, such as Western cartoons and Western comics, and they kind of thought that was cool, so they started doing their own sort of thing with that, and that's sort of where more modern manga came from.
If she comes out and is just going, I'm dissolving parliament and taking direct control of the country again, that people are not going to immediately be like, no.
Well, you have the issues of very powerful people who would want her dead for that, and then also
And would not have much of an issue with beating the shit out of an old woman. No, that's my point.
and then
She
also
only
people who could potentially revolt.
she
Yes, I
only
understand
has
that.
power, technically speaking. She is a cultural figurehead. She doesn't actually really have any real power. Just because she has like the
She's
positional
very
authority
rich, so I would
to
argue she
make
does.
these decisions. Well, what the fuck? Oh, it's 10 a.m. My wake up alarm is going off.
Nice.
Anyway, to shift back to Japan, I just wanted to mention that like it makes a lot of sense that they would have pursued some level of escapism.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at a world that had a lot something that a lot of people don't know regarding the attacks
Really
on
quick,
Japan is everyone.
really quick. I just want to say I looked it up and you are correct. Emperor Hirohito was like directly behind the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the invasion of China. So yeah,
Yeah,
he
dude.
was still warmongering.
Mhm.
So I will maintain my seat as the Lord of History, and
Look, I knew that too. So
no, I'm just saying, like this is my thing that I do that I
I'm
spend time
probably
studying.
thinking.
So
I'm probably thinking of the imperial seat of China. Actually,
maybe I don't know. That's a whole different fascinating history discussion,
yeah.
but we'll save that
Yeah.
for another time, if ever. Um, but I just wanted to say something that a lot of people don't know is that prior to the nuclear bombs, um, Allied forces, which is pretty much just Americans around Japan, we pretty much boxed Japan in with our naval forces. And we were waiting for the nuclear bomb, to be fully finished and developed. And while we were waiting for that, we dropped basically the World War II equivalent of napalm on Japan multiple times. There were fire bombings, is what they called them. And so you have to deal with the fact that the Japanese, for several months, were just didn't know when the sky would turn dark and fire would rain.
Yeah, America
And
was
then
like,
and
oh,
then
you're like dragons, right?
I mean, I could talk about Monotonoro and the cultural implications of that story, but in which America was well, the original story is older than that, but they refashioned it for World War II, and America was made to be the Oni.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that
because,
makes
like,
sense.
We fucking firebomb them.
Yeah.
So,
we won the war,
well,
but
just so
there
we're
was
clear,
some, like,
this was before the fire bombs. This
non-Ukrainian-
was before any of that. They were saying that, like Monotonoro, I might not be pronouncing that right, by the way. Like Monotonoro, who had gathered his animal companions and attacked the island of the Onis, the Japanese were saying, gathered the Japanese people together and attacked the great nation of Oni, and if we win, great wealth and power will be ours forever. Like, no one would be able to fight us on how great we are, Japan.
And boy,
Um,
did they not win. Holy
and boy,
shit.
did they not win. Anyway, so the point is, we firebombed them for months, and then after we firebombed them, um, we suddenly the bombs stop. Airplanes do darken the sky overhead, but this time they drop pamphlets begging the Japanese people to run, flee through the hills for your lives, because the weapon we are about to unleash is so mind-numbingly horrifying that even we do not want to use it.
Yeah, the guy who invented it saw the test and was like, "Oh shit, I've made a mistake."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun fact for you. The guy who invented the nuclear bomb, he said, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds," which was not meant to be like a "look how cool I am." The way he
No,
said it was
no,
very
I've
much,
seen the
No.
interview. He's
"No,
talking about
Yeah,
I am
he's
like,
not."
got that like
human
1,000-yard
and-
stare.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the concept is like, he's like, "I'm not just a man anymore. I am the architect of a level of destruction that has never existed and that I never wanted to exist.
By
That
the
he
way,
humanity
started
has no
testing
right
it,
to have power over."
It got worse, by the way.
Now, here's another fun fact. Because that research was based off of Einstein's research for the theory of relativity, Einstein said, "Had I known what my research would create by the end of this war, I would have become a clockmaker."
Yeah, I don't blame him.
I mean, that was a big deal. So you get these pamphlets saying, "run," basically. Your enemy saying, "what we're about to do is so bad, we feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Run."
Please
And
evacuate.
do not
so I can
do
feel less
not let
bad about
yourself burn in the
fucking
fires of the sun. And then Hiroshima is gone. Planes darken the sky again, dropping another set of pamphlets, and this time they say, "In case you didn't believe us, ask what happened to Hiroshima and run." And then Nagasaki is gone.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking
Japan
horrific.
was just like, you look at that from their point of view, like that whole sense of like all the stuff that led up to this and everything that was going on, the arts from before, all of that just ends at that point. Nobody wants to be in reality anymore. Life sucks. They live in a burned out nuclear waste of a portion of the country, or they live in the areas where the nuclear bombs didn't hit. And if you live in the areas where the nuclear bombs didn't, granted, they didn't hit Kyoto or Tokyo, but at the end of the day, like the level of devastation, the level of destruction, the level of innocent lives just ripped from reality in literally 2 or 3 days is insane. And like everybody lost someone. There wasn't anybody who didn't lose somebody because of how devastating that series of attacks was. So yeah, it makes sense that all of a sudden the shift in art, the shift in tone, the shift in mentality goes from celebrating Japan and celebrating Japanese culture to just like, what can I
It's
do
just
to get away
escapism.
from
Yeah.
Yeah.
this terrible
So like,
reality I'm trapped in?
let me cope. You know.
Yeah.
Quit playing the
And
guitar was suddenly like
this, just so
good
everyone's
art.
aware, that mentality is what manga was born out of. I recently saw a meme where someone was bitching, how could a country that produces something like JoJo suffer from severe depression? And I'm like, do you
You don't
not
fucking
understand
understand.
Yeah,
where manga
like,
comes from? Like,
JoJo
dude.
was created because they needed to cope with extreme depression.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of it. I'm not even joking. That's the reality of it. This is a very somber reality for the Japanese people. And yeah, it's
Oh
been a
yeah.
long time. Manga has shifted and changed an awful lot since then. But that is the mentality it was born out of, was just, I don't want to be here. I don't want to exist in this world where all of this horrific stuff has happened, where my country has been so utterly devastated and defeated by an enemy that it will never rise again. And to be fair, that it's not true. Japan has become a very powerful economic power in the world. They have risen again in other ways, but at the time that was the prevailing theory, was we are never getting to that point ever again. We have been stomped into the dirt beyond recovery.
Well, because how could you believe that you'll ever achieve greatness when you have an enemy that can just delete you whenever they
Delete your
feel
cities. Yeah,
Yeah. The
exactly.
unfortunate part about that is these days, fucking everybody can delete everybody.
Not everybody.
Now, now
Not
to
everybody
maybe
has
shift a
nukes,
little
but
bit
too
off
many
of that
people have nukes.
macabre subject. But yes,
Yeah.
that's just to try to give some context to manga generally. I think it is important to understand where things come from and why they were created. And that style of drawing, that style of storytelling, was very much born out of that mentality at a place that I think we as Americans really just don't get. We don't understand that that's like, we're living in a time where we pursue escapism
Yeah.
ourselves,
Well, because we don't
but
get it,
not
because
like
we're
that.
the ones who pulled the fucking trigger. We don't understand what it did.
Truman did. If you've ever heard the tapes of him in his cabinet, Truman really hated himself for making that call.
Anybody who makes the decision to just end entire cities of people probably
Oh
has to
yeah.
deal with that.
They're gonna need some escapism.
Yeah.
Enter that some people really liked the escapist manga.
I was gonna say, enter the wild, wacky, wonderful world of manga.
So go ahead. The next thing you wanted to talk about, I just wanted to try to hammer home that idea
Yeah,
of like
and I
where,
appreciate it because that puts a lot in perspective.
yeah.
Um, so the next section here is just me asking you guys, and this is where Ringo was supposed to talk about things. What manga have you read? And this is where Ringo would have said the Berserk manga, etc. But Ringo's not here, and he can go eat a whole bottle of ketchup through his asshole.
Wow. Okay then. Uh, have do you have anything to say on this subject, Beef?
Yeah, not really.
I just wondering
Like I said,
because
the
I
last
know
time I
that
read a manga was over 10 years ago.
I
I
was gonna
don't
say, just
actually.
I didn't want to like
Um,
completely monopolize this segment. If you had anything you did want to say,
yeah, I'm just kind of here.
okay. Well, I would say most manga that I have read have generally been the mangas for animes I'm watching. And most of the time when I read a manga, it's because I watch an anime, it gets up to a point, and either it's like the end of season one or the end of some season or whatever, and there's more story that's coming up or to be told, but it's not there yet. So I'm just like, I want more. And usually the manga can go several maybe an arc or two ahead um of the anime,
Of the
so I'll
anime.
read
Yeah.
those. Uh, that being said, I can think of two manga off the top of my head that I did read that have nothing to do with it. Well, three actually, but I remember like nothing about the third one. That did not have an anime associated with them at the time, and I think one of them, the one I don't remember anything about, does have an anime associated with them
Is
now.
Can I guess which one that is?
What?
Is that Pumpkin Scissors?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just remember the main character had like a blue flame thing about him,
And a baby
and that the
complex.
symbol of his and the symbol of his unit was the pumpkin scissors, and
Yes.
that's it. They were a military unit. I don't remember anything else about pumpkin scissors
That's about
because I
all
read
I
it so long
remember
ago.
too, because I think I read
Uh,
the first uh volume, and that was it.
the other two I could think of that I read that were not at the time, and actually, to my knowledge, still are not at the time, at this time, series that were made into anime was Alive: The Final Evolution
Hmm.
and Battle Angel Alita: Last Order. I remember a lot more about the latter, but I'll go briefly over Alive: The Final Evolution. I don't remember a lot of the storyline stuff, but I do remember the basic shit. There was a virus that hit the world that was called a suicide virus that caused people to commit suicide. Big shocker. There were some people
Hence the
who
name.
contracted this virus but did not commit suicide, and those who did not commit suicide but contracted the virus got superpowers. The main character got some power relating to heat. I don't remember if it was a fire power per se or a power that specifically had to do with heating things up.
I seem
I
The
to
reason I
recall he could.
remember,
I remember specifically it was just that he generated heat because I was like, he
Yeah.
doesn't
I was
do
gonna
that
say
with the
because I
fire
remember
power,
he
and
pairs
I
up
thought that was
with an
dumb.
ice
So I
spike
was in like
chick,
eighth
and
grade.
he uses his power to melt asphalt, and then the ice spice chick turns that into black
Yeah, yeah,
ice.
yeah.
I do
Yeah.
remember that.
His whole thing was like
Um,
he can touch something and it becomes really hot.
Yeah, he's Mr. Heat Miser. Whatever he touched,
Hmm.
but up, starts to melt in his clutch, but up. He's
And
singing.
I remember the girl who can like
um,
hold a metal object and turn it into an explosive.
I don't remember that. I
Gambit?
do remember that they have. So
I
the
don't
main
remember
character has
that.
like a best friend, and I think his best friend's name was Haru. Um, but
I thought it was Hero, but
he
whatever.
it might have been Hero. I don't, dude. I don't remember the shit.
I remember it as a
I remember it
talking
started with
owl
an
and
H. I
blah blah
remember
blah
that it
blah.
started with an H, and his superpower was that he could just cause a hole to appear in anything. And this
Including the
meant that,
pilot of reality at some point.
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah.
He's a
I
real
remember
fun
that,
guy.
like, uh, like for example, he could just cause a hole to suddenly appear in someone's chest, and their lungs and heart would be gone, and they die. Um, but he could cause holes to happen to anything, and he was basically all the bad guys were afraid of him. He could just end their existence at any time without any warning.
Except
Um,
for that one crazy chick who was just like Haru-chun, or whatever it is that she said.
Incidentally, that's the
I don't
one who
remember the
could make
crazy
metal
chick.
things explode.
For the crazy chick, that'd be why I don't remember the exploding metal things. I do remember there was a teacher from their school that became one of these
He
superpowered people.
he he's my favorite character from that manga.
He I recall that he had an internal argument with himself regarding whether or not he should commit suicide and came to the conclusion that he should not because he had a wife and child, then allowed himself to be manipulated by some weird voice from space into convincing Haru, Hero, whoever the fuck, into joining him on a journey with all the rest of the bad guys because apparently the suicide virus was sent by whatever this thing in space was to prepare the Earth for its arrival, and it wanted a perfect vessel to fuse with when it
Yeah,
arrived,
which is
and he
apparently
believed
Haru.
that
I remember he was supposed to
Haru
be
was this
these
perfect
alien
vessel.
Jesus.
Meanwhile, the good guys were the main character whose name I forget. I don't remember any of these names. The girl with ice spikes, and I'm pretty sure there was like a literal child who was super
Yep.
smart, and that was their
Yeah,
Yeah.
superpower.
that was their
And they were
super
trying to stop
focused
all of
team.
this from happening. There was
But
some
I
sense that
remember
like
about this thing. What I remember about this thing was once you've overcome your like desire for suicide, um, the the depth of your power was it was proportional to the depth of your emotional hole, and it was only people who had
right. I
deep,
do
trauma.
recall that because
People
I
who
said
had
I think
deep
I remember
emotional
the
trauma were the
dude.
only people who could survive. Like anybody else, like unless you'd survived like crazy emotional trauma, you would not have the force of will to resist suicide.
Yeah, I remember that there was something about
'Cause
that, and I remember that
I remember looking up
Haru
spoilers
apparently
for
had a
series.
really fucking deep hole.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he had
I
like
looked up
And then
he
the
had
main
spoilers for the
character,
series.
he had like the super tragic rogue backstory, you know.
Yeah, he had
and
my
I remember the
entire
main
family was killed in
character.
a car accident, and it was my
Yeah,
fault because I was drinking soda in the car and tossed the can, and it ended up under the brakes, so my dad couldn't brake properly, and just like fucking head on slammed this other vehicle, and everyone else was killed instantly, and I survived.
Yeah.
So he has like
Jesus, I don't remember
crazy
that backstory, but
survivor's
damn.
guilt because he believes that he's directly responsible for his family's death and the other family's death. But I remember looking up spoilers, and they gave you that specific thing about, oh, your powers are directly proportional to your emotional whole, because Haru, whatever the friend's name was, uses with Acro's heart, which was like their deity
Oh,
thing.
I remember that name now that you say it.
Yeah, and like the main character is still able to overcome him because he's grown so powerful because of how edgy he is.
I also
Who, the main
remember
character?
Yeah, because of how fucking damaged he is emotionally.
Oh, because of everything Haru puts him through. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
No, just because everything he'd already been through.
I read
What it came down to.
I read that manga for a little while and I
I think
stopped I
his
stopped
mom
when
committed suicide with the virus, if I recall.
yeah, I'm
She's
pretty
not
sure
really kept
everybody
track of
he
it.
knew did
The
except for
Holes
Hero.
guy, like everybody but the main character, who was like his family and friends, all committed suicide.
Mhm.
The whole
Oh
class
yeah.
did. Everybody but the teacher.
Yeah, I stopped
I do
reading
remember
that
it was pretty
manga.
macabre.
I don't remember what
All I remember
volume it
vividly
was.
all I remember vividly about that series was main character and Haru, whatever his name was. I think it was actually Hiru and Haru. Haru was the good guy and Hiru was the bad guy.
I don't remember. I thought the good guy started with T, but I don't fucking. I
It's
don't
been a
remember
long
the
okay,
time.
we'll
names.
call it
I could
TNH
look it up. I could probably look it up,
survived. All I
but
remember
I
is
feel like that
TNH
would breach our
survived.
like natural recollection of shit.
I was gonna say like
Yeah, all I remember is that those two survived. They were the only survivors of their class.
If any
Owl was
fans of that
very much
series are
taught.
in the comments, they're gonna tell us all the shit we got wrong. By the way,
and I'm okay with that.
All I remember is those two survived. The owl was a talking alien, and the ice girl was super fucking hot.
I don't
She
remember
was.
now. The ice girl was hot, and I remember there was a bunch of little like bits where
Ironically.
she would like where she would like get groped or some shit, and then she couldn't just ice spike the entire train because that would derail everything. So she was just like she had to find other ways to cope.
I remember in one of the early volumes, they were like camping or something. They were like making camp for the night. They were like, "Food's ready." I think her name was like June or something like that. Or like,
I
"Should we
don't
tell
fucking know.
June?" And then he goes to like tell her dinner's ready, and then the next panel is just both pages of like her not wearing a shirt. And I just remember my like
Oh yeah, of
15-year-old
course.
ass being like,
Cause
"Oh
like
boy."
what you know, of course, like what manga doesn't have the classical scene where the high school main character boy walking on the high school main character girl, and then
Mhm.
immediately has everything assumed that he's a pervert and all that. I hate
Yep.
that trope. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
See,
Well, she
okay.
never mentions it again. She
One
just
one
switches
reason I hate that trope is because it's old and it's tired and fucking do something else.
But yeah, it's just, and it's she was still wearing a bra, listeners. It's 15, so chill out.
So I stopped reading Alive because I hit the volume where like they encounter the fat kid, and the fat kid's entire superpower was he had like the Grim Reaper floating around him, and his whole thing was like, if you make an
Oh,
agreement
yeah.
with him, if you break the agreement, you die. So he ran around
I
on a
remember that.
cruise ship, making girls agree to have sex with him, or they would die.
Yeah, I remember that. That pissed me
And I
off
was
too.
like,
I didn't like
this
that.
is fucking gross, and I put it down.
Yeah, it was. It was horrifyingly gross. That was like the worst thing. That's like, I mean,
It, he like, and he
I'll,
gets to
I'll
the
tell
point
you,
where
like,
like
I get
he
where
gets
people
he
believe
gets
that
the
that's
ice
like
girl
a.
to make an agreement with him accidentally. She accidentally makes an agreement with him, and I'm like, that's it. I'm fucking putting this book down. I don't want to fucking.
Fun
Fuck this
fact:
bullshit.
they actually, when the Reaper shows up to do something, the team, the smart child kid, basically does the whole. Well, actually, according to the terms of the agreement, blah 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 blah. So she technically did do her part, and the Reaper's like,
Lawyers her out of it.
"That's a solid fucking argument. I'm not gonna do nothing."
The Reaper's like, this kid's got brains, and you don't. You just have cellulose, you big.
You big fat fuck.
And for
I
any
can
of our
say that.
listeners, the two of them can get away with saying that because the two of them have like 60 pounds on me at least.
Oh no,
Probably
I got
more
way
than
more
that.
than that. I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm just being.
I was gonna say
conservative
like
with my
that's the
numbers
thing
here.
though. Like you say, I can get away with saying
Both
that,
of
but I
you
can't get away with
are-
saying other things
Yeah.
both
because
of you are
we'd rather
significant-
just
both of you are
blind
fucking-
ourselves to reality than accept that we should, do something about it. I'll post World War II Japan.
Yeah, you're getting real close to that political line there, bud.
Yeah.
I'm on the political line, but we're gonna move on. The next one, I actually recall the name of another manga I read that I literally know. I remember nothing about it, but I remember it existed, and I know it got an anime adaptation that never got an English version, and it was called Project Arms.
Never heard of it.
Project Arms, like the
I-
video game Arms.
It was Project, and then the word Arms was
Acronym.
an acronym, so I had a period after each name. And I don't. I remember reading a little bit about it, and I remember this was another manga with like superhuman characters.
Oh! I know
vaguely
a little
remember
bit
seeing
about
that on
this.
the
Yeah,
shelf, but I
because
don't think I ever picked it up.
Project Arms actually is a tabletop RPG.
Is it?
It is. It
My
is
computer is freezing up, so if I drop out of the call, that's why.
okay. It is also I assume at this point manga and anime, but it's also a tabletop game, and it is well known as like it's well known as like the most like anime superpowers tabletop RPG ever.
Isn't BattleTech a tabletop RPG as well?
That one I don't know about.
I think Berserk was actually one of the first mangas I ever read because I forgot what it was, but Dave brought a manga home from the library and was like, "Oh yeah, they have manga." And I remember Dad being like, "Oh, you should read Berserk and Fist of the North Star."
Yeah, I was like, wait,
Yeah, I was
Dad
like,
read
Fist of the
anime?
North Star.
Because at the
My
time, I
dad-
didn't
Dad
understand
got
that
Fist
there
of
was a
the
difference.
North Star when it like first came out in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when we were like
Oh man. That brings me back to like the AMV bit where it's like, I got that kill you without looking attitude. Or I got that kung fu kill you without looking attitude. I don't know the song, but like
I'm pretty sure Kenshiro could still kick the shit out of Goku.
I'll just go, what's wrong?
Possibly.
Don't need words to solve you. I'ma just say, what's wrong?
Yeah, exactly. And then just like they put that to Fist of the North Star fights, where he just like wrecks people.
He's also a really fun character to play in Jump Force.
Yeah, of
I
course.
bet.
He's the OG shonen hero.
He really is. He
He's
really
certainly
is.
not the most powerful character in Jump Force, but he's really fun to play.
Japanese Superman.
No, that's inaccurate. He's like Japanese Mad Max, but with the powers of Superman.
Yeah, that makes him Japanese Superman.
In fact, as much that Mad Max was actually more based on him.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I was gonna say, so I don't remember anything about Project Arms other than one of the major components was that their arms would transform into something when they activated their superpowers. But I don't remember anything more than that. I don't remember any characters or what the like. I remember, and the reason I remember Project Arms is because I remember looking at the back of the manga book and reading this stuff where it was like talking about how this was another manga from the mind of some guy, and there's a bunch of biblical references and stuff like you would come to expect from something made by this guy. And I was like,
You're just like, cool.
because there was like the actual project name in the universe of Project Arms wasn't Project Arms. It was like Project something, and it was some kind of angelic beast or something like that. And I don't remember much, but like that's it. That I remember that. And then the other manga that I don't think has been made into an anime, though the first part of this manga, the previous portion of this manga, was made into a live-action movie recently called Elita, where a live-action character had anime face proportions and everyone made fun of it. Because eyeballs aren't that big on humans, please.
Hey, whoa. She's not human, sir.
Well, yeah, first of all, she's a machine. Hang on, I got something to say here.
Go ahead.
So, they had this idea that, oh, we're going to make Aelita with her anime face proportions, and it's going to be great. And I just watched Lord of the Rings last night, and I had the crazy realization that Gollum has Aelita anime eyes.
He do. Also,
so true. Although it's not played as like this is a cutesy thing. It's played as like look at this horrifying monstrosity.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Also, Zeta
evolved bigger over the course of like several thousand years.
Zeta, after looking into it, I can confirm Robotech is also a tabletop RPG.
Fuck yeah.
So I was gonna say, I don't know the actual story of Battle Angel Elita and her fight against like the evil scientist or whatever. But I know there was an evil scientist she fought against. Because in Last Order, it starts out with her body being regenerated by that scientist in a city in the sky. And she's very loath to work with him initially, but he has this sort of like, we find out through Last Order that while his actions were considered deplorable and evil by the people on the surface, he was working to try to prove that humanity as a whole was being taken advantage of by this small group of people who lived in a space station above the Earth and believed themselves better than the rest of humanity. And to that end, all the people in the Sky City had their brains removed at some point and replaced with chips that had all of their implanted memories and everything from their brains. So they lived their lives believing they were normal human beings. And then one day, this dude literally cuts a guy's head open on live television and says, "Yeah, we're not actually." And this causes the whole city to freak out and basically descend into anarchy and kill each other.
Yeah.
And what's left is this guy, a few people loyal to this guy, the scientist guy, and then Alita once he rejuvenates her. Um, I remember that one of the they have a few different arcs. The main arc being that they go up to the space station, and the guys at the space station actually take this dude's chip, the super scientist dude's chip, because what they're doing is they're taking the chips of all the smartest, brightest, and best people, and they're basically putting all those chips into their own brains so that they can be that smart.
All I
Uh-huh.
remember about Battle Angel Elita was space karate.
But I was much more fascinated by the fact that there was a whole goddamn flashback arc to immediately after whatever nuclear war wiped out humanity for the most part. Before all the events of Battle Angel Elita and all that shit. There was a whole arc dedicated to there were because they meet this person later on who is called a Class V mutant, and what that means is they're a vampire. So
Okay, I was about to ask what was that manga, but yeah, I guess it was Battle Angel.
so they didn't call themselves vampires. They had a different name for their species, but they were basically humans that had mutated. And the reality is, these mutants existed before Earth was destroyed by nuclear war, but they were very few and far between. And the nuclear war actually did cause some humans to mutate into them. The leader of these people was basically Dracula, and his wife was a
His wife was
Chinese
basically
woman.
Chun-Li.
Yeah, was a
Yeah.
Chinese woman who also had contracted this mutation long before the war, and both of them had lived in these isolated worlds where they believed they were the only one of their kind. And when they met each other, they were like, "Oh my God, others of me exist!" And there's like this really beautiful romance between them as a result. But they differ on a major point. Whereas her experience has been that basically, as long as she's kept the truth of her nature under wraps, she's found that humanity has been mostly amicable and good people. On the other hand, Count Dracula has been through the worst humanity has to offer and believes that they are worthless scum that are not worthy of life. After the bombs fall, he basically makes an agreement with his wife that, like, if they don't fuck with us, I won't fuck with them. We find out there are some interesting bits and pieces about the mutation that I remember. I remember that it is transmitted through bodily fluids, including saliva, and so a bite is often used to transmit it. It does not have a 100% successful transmission rate. When it does transmit, there is a 1% chance that you survive the process of mutating. And if you do survive the process of mutating, you are infertile for the rest of your life.
I remember that was a big deal between the two of them, as they couldn't have children. So that was
there was also a big deal that one of the human heroes that fought with them had a girlfriend that both of them aspired to have children with, and to get back at the human hero for something he did to them, he bit the woman he was in love with, which transmitted the virus, and then she died, and even if she had lived, she wouldn't have been able to have children.
You know, this is a lot more than I remember.
Yeah.
What I remember was that she fought a dude. She fought like a snake charmer who like cut some dude up, and then their body parts fell from the sky, but then they weren't actually dead somehow. I don't know.
And like a freak clown.
Oh yeah, there was the freak murder clown. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are remembering the tournament arc. That's what you're remembering. I don't remember the tournament arc as much because I stopped reading right about then.
What I remember is the vampire lady was like a martial arts teacher for Elita or something, and like a ton of other kids.
Yes.
And like,
you're remembering
that was,
the tournament arc.
She couldn't actually have kids, so she wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because like that's, you get her whole backstory as one giant chunk. It takes up like 3 or 4 volumes of the manga. Is just her backstory.
Wasn't she the murder clown's teacher?
She was the murder clown's teacher. She didn't care who she taught. She just taught whoever.
See, the only other thing I remember is that the male android, whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah, he was like a clone of Elita, but then at some point was rebuilt as male.
Right. And all I remember was at some point he questions like, "Yo, what happens to her blades when they retract?" And there was a whole like mini segment where like it shows her blades retract and then her boobs get bigger.
I do recall that actually. Oh man. The other thing I recall is that I always thought that Elita was biological at some level because when the super scientist reconstructs her in his lab and they're building her body, one of them says that like one of the people who's watching this happen with him says something like, "Oh, this frame seems smaller than I expected," and he says, "Well, of course, because this one is double X chromosome." And that only matters if there's
Hmm.
actually human organic matter in it. So she's not purely android, or at least in Last Order, she's not purely android. I don't know if she was purely android before. Um, there's some level of biological matter to it. I do remember that in Last Order, her Damascus blade for a while wasn't something that could be like pulled out and brought back in. She had to actually wield it like a normal sword because her arm was an actual human arm and not a mechanical thing. And
Huh.
they had to make like a bracer for her to do that. Or I think either that or they modified her arm so that it wasn't fully human and she could do that. But
Yeah, I don't
it was
know.
originally a biological arm. She had to actually wield her blade as a normal sword for like a good 3 or 4 volumes of the manga. I remember that. Um, she had an actual like thing on her back she put it into and everything. Um, but yeah,
Well,
I mostly remember the backstory bit and the humans basically said, "Hey, we'll have peace with you," and then betray the vampires and kill a bunch of them, and then fucking vampire god kills all the humans. At which point, the vampire queen says, "You know what? I legit don't agree with this anymore, and I'm done being nice."
Well, I remember there was like this big sequence where it's like they have to fight each other for whatever reason, like because they are the ultimate roadblock on each other's path. But it was like this sequence of like "I still love you," and it was supposed to be really sad, but it just like it
Yes,
came across
yes,
as like
that is
really
true
funny.
because she decided that having humanity survive the nuclear winter was more important than vampire supremacy, and she actively chose to help the humans. And because of all the shit he'd been through, Dracula was, by the way, that's not his name. I'm just using that because his
But yeah, he's
backstory
the
was
vampire
basically
lord, so
well,
colloquially,
well, no. His
Dracula.
actual backstory is that he was born, or that he became a vampire in the 1100s, and went through all this other stuff that basically makes him this universe's version of Dracula.
Yeah,
So I'm calling him that just because he matches that
yeah,
profile.
because
Um,
that's what I mean. He's like the vampire lord in like the textbook sense. So you
he's
can't remember
basically
his name.
Dracula.
He's Dracula.
So
He looked like Dracula.
he his thing was like I said, his personal opinion was humanity is not worthy of life because of all the bullshit they've put me through. Because of because he's seen the worst humanity had to offer, like the most fucked up heinous things humanity could do. He
I
was
mean,
like, it
he lived
doesn't
through the
matter how
Nazi
pretty they
experiment
are on
program.
go ahead.
I remember
I
that was a big deal, and I just realized I have to like edit what I say because now Steve's got to edit that particular area. He lived through the Third Reich experimenting on him.
Oh yeah,
hmm.
that was a part of it, wasn't it?
Because
Um
I remember that there was like a whole chapter where he was talking about being strapped to a table and Heinrich Himmler staring at him like how a hunter stares at a trapped prize pelt.
I don't remember that specifically, but I
I do
totally
because
see
I
that
remember at the
being
time I was researching Heinrich Himmler for a school project, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude was worse than Hitler.
he really
That man
was.
was evil. Hitler was deranged. Himmler was fucking evil.
I'd argue that Hitler was also evil, but that's
Oh,
an
yes,
argument for
but,
another
like, you look
time.
at the stuff that Himmler did. Himmler tried to, like, he was the guy who was, like, trying to weaponize the cult shit. He tried to. There was a project where they literally
How far
attempted
into
to
this
harness.
conversation can we go before we breach the YouTube issue? Just out of
I
curiosity.
don't know. All I remember is I remember reading about an SS project where they literally tried to harness Satan.
I hate that that's a thing that gets demonetized just because like it's such a big fucking deal culturally. Like why can't we mention it? Like there's so
Yeah,
much
it's like this is
media,
not something that
especially
should be
when we're talking
forgotten.
about like pop culture and media, they are like the group to just
They're
make
the
if you don't want
quintessential,
zombies.
Don't ever go back to this.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you don't want zombies and you just want a faceless evil army, that's the group you make a faceless
Yeah,
evil
you
army
go to
out
the
of.
Third Reich in the SS Paranormal Division.
Are you still with us, Beard?
Yeah, I just don't have a lot to say because you all the shit you're talking about, I don't remember.
I'll go ahead and with hopefully this isn't too jarring. I'll go ahead and move on to other mangas I read, which are all based off of. Well, they have animes based off of them, I should say. But
I actually kind of want to
read
jump
them.
off. I actually kind of want to jump off the vampire thing because when you were talking about vampires,
Oh
it
no.
reminded me that I actually read both the novels and the manga adaptation of Vampire Hunter D back in the day.
Oh,
Oh,
not
that's
what
a
I thought you were gonna say.
classic. That's
Yeah.
a I thought you were
For
gonna go
any of our
Hellsing.
for any of our listeners, if you like, you know, uh, people of the night type media, and you haven't read Vampire Hunter D, you have to read Vampire Hunter D.
I was gonna say, isn't that like one of the first manga slash animes to actually like come over to America and be greeted with legit critical success?
It came over in like the early '80s, so it was roughly around the same time as like Fist of the North Star. Whereas Fist of the North Star is that
I
like
was gonna say, like, wasn't it the reason that they decided
post-apocalyptic martial
Fist of
arts
the North Star?
superhero. Vampire Hunter D is that like classic. It's like Marvel
Oh,
After Dark kind of.
can I really quick, just because you said that, can I jerk the discussion a bit towards Studio Ghibli? I don't know that there's any manga based off of them, but I wanted to mention that Studio Ghibli, like many other studios, like a lot of manga and anime cover post-apocalyptic worlds, and I wanted to point back to the fact that to Japan after World War II, they were living in a post-apocalyptic world, and that's kind of like where all of that comes from.
Yeah, that's kind of why a lot of the early manga and anime is set in such a because like that's the medium they had to work with.
Oh, another manga I read, it does have an anime adaptation, and its anime adaptation is absolute garbage. Is Jing, King of Bandits.
Actually, that does sound vaguely familiar.
But ooh boy, that is one you read when you're willing to look at the utter trashy filth of humanity. I'm not even lying. Like that, it pulls no punches. People are horrible to each other in that anime.
Meanwhile, Black Cat.
Or anime. I mean, oh yeah, I did read the Black Cat manga.
Yeah, Black Cat.
I also watched the Black
Cat
anime.
On my collarbone, and that makes me hella edgy.
I love the guy who later on just sharpies the Roman numeral, not even the Roman numerals, the Latin numeral 13. Yeah, the Arabic numeral 13 on his arm. He sharpies it on his arm and runs around.
Wasn't his name like Dunsley?
I don't remember.
It was like Dunley or something.
Black Cat was Train Harkness. I remember his name was Train Harkness. I don't. And then his partner was Fen, who was the best character. Yeah. Okay. Hartnett. Fine. Train Hartnett, and his partner was Fen, who was absolutely the best character.
Oh, he was fantastic.
It was like his classic
machine gun suitcase. It's my favorite weapon of his.
I like the fact that at the beginning they make it look like he's about to murder a bunch of dudes, and instead he just makes them eat jalapeno candy.
My
Oh,
favorite part
man.
about Sven was he was like your classic like 1940s film noir detective.
Yeah, but he
Like
wasn't
at
really
any
like.
moment, whenever there was a female in the panel, I expected him at any moment to just be like, "I knew she was trouble the second I looked at her."
Yeah. Except what's her name? The little girl they say from the.
Yeah, Eve, the little girl
Yeah,
they
he,
said,
like,
Yeah.
becomes his like
who
de
is like
facto daughter.
the most powerful out of all of them.
What? By the way, can I mention something really quickly? The anime has like this whole fucking arc. It's the final arc of the anime where like someone creates an atom for Eve, and there's this whole weird. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I remember that they have like airships and all this other garbage. That arc doesn't exist in the manga at all. The manga never had it. It doesn't exist.
That's probably why it's so fucking weird.
And so the other thing is like, because the anime basically follows up to, I think, it's like one season of anime, if I recall correctly, one or two, and it follows like the first maybe 12 chapters of the book, which doesn't even actually complete the arc of Train Heartnet, and then it just juxtaposes immediately into Weird Town, and when it
Yeah.
doesn't exist in the manga at all. So I would argue Black Cat is a classic case of the manga is definitely superior to the anime. It's a much better written story. There's a lot more detail in it. It explains a lot more about what's going on and why. And it continues the story in a way that makes sense after Heartnet breaks from Kronos. Which is the big evil world-spanning organization.
Woodney is the guy's name.
Yeah, Woodney.
Oh, the fake 13?
The
Yeah.
fake, yeah.
Yeah. Who like
Fucking
Train Heartnet
Woodney.
totally is like, oh my god, this is the perfect cover.
Yes, I love how he rolls with it. Like the guy sitting there pretending to be him, and actual Train Heartnet shows up and just goes, "This is my
And it's all
master.
like-
He's not worthy of,
Yeah,
or
he's
you're
all
not
like,
worthy to
"This
fight
guy's
my
not worth
master."
your time, my master.
Yeah,
Let me take care of him.
let me
for
take
you."
care of him. And Whitney's like, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah,
And then he
Woodney has
no,
a
hold
sudden
on. And then he
realization
does
that this
it.
is
And then
actual
when he has the
super
realization
assassin
that,
Train Heartnet.
oh, fuck, you're the actual one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Look, I didn't mean anything by it. Like, I'm just trying to like make money." And he's like, "Nah, it's good." Like,
Yeah, he's like, "I don't care, bro." Yeah.
He's like, "You good?"
Just know that name might
And
get you killed eventually.
meanwhile, Sven, the guy who thinks about money, is like, "You absolute fucking idiot. We should be suing the shit out of this guy."
The
Yes,
other thing I
recall
remember is that his pistol was
Oh.
called the Hades, and his rival in Kronos had a
Oh,
pistol
man.
called the Lucifer.
I want to cover something. I'm gonna ask first though, because you guys said it was maybe not cool to do this earlier. Can I talk about the difference between the relationship Train and Eve had in the manga versus the one in the anime? So what I wanted to point out was this is another issue of an anime adapting something incorrectly. In the manga, Eve and Train have a very father-daughter relationship. Sven and Eve also have this very.
Eve, and Train and Eve was like a big
Well,
brother.
okay, I guess I was gonna say like Train's more like a big
I-
brother or an
I
uncle,
was
but
gonna say,
it's
like-
a very platonic relationship.
Yeah.
There's not a point where it ever crosses, and it's very clear.
Sven, so in the manga, because I've also read the manga and also the seen the anime, but in the
We're back on
manga,
Black Cat, by the way, just in case anyone's wondering.
yes, we jump ship back to Black Cat. In the manga, Sven and Train are like two dads.
Yeah,
They're
that's
like
really how
they're
I
like
felt
dad
about
and
it.
dad to Eve,
Yeah,
and it's one of the most
very
entertaining
clear.
parts. Yeah,
Well,
And it's an
also funny
adorable,
because
wholesome
Sven is funny.
relationship.
I always thought it was funny because Sven is like responsible, caring dad, and Train is like
Yes.
fun, lawless dad.
yeah. And then you have
100%.
the girl, the fucking thief lady. I think her name was Renea.
She kind of does take on the mom role.
She
a
does
little
a little bit, but she has that thing where like she attempts many times to flirt with both of them, and they're like bromance is way stronger.
Yeah. which is also platonic. I want to just make
Lord
sure
help
that
the
we're really
sister who
clear
comes
that
between me and
this
my
isn't one of
man.
those things where they like flirt with the idea of, but never actually commit to
No,
it
no,
because
no,
they
no.
don't
They're
want to
very
piss off.
no, no, no.
No,
The
it's
relationship
really
between
fucking
Sven and
clear.
Train is they're like
Is-
they're best friends and they're partners.
Yeah, it's like Hunter x Hunter. Like there's never any sexual tension there. It's
And by
100%
partners, I mean, to be clear, by partners, I don't mean like
business
You mean the
partners.
yeah,
traditional
they're like
sense.
business part. They're like he's Sven goes and gets the contracts for them to go assassinate somebody, and Train
then
goes
Train
and
kills them.
well,
Well, they don't
not assassinate. They're bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Technically, they're sweepers.
Yeah, well, that's the name for bounty hunters in that universe.
Also, I love the there was
what I
all
wanted to
the
bring up is if you
other
watch
members
the
of the
anime-
order, and I love the guy I don't remember what number he was, but him and Train have a really good fight. But the one where like he does the first strike on Train, and then Train survives, and he was like, if you hadn't relaxed your neck muscles, you'd be dead.
Is that the dude with the invisible sword?
No, that's the final boss.
Mm. Anyway, I wanted to mention that the anime doesn't stay true to this. Much like how they give her a weird love interest in the Adam and Eve arc, Eve has a weird sexual tension with Train throughout the entire anime that, again, doesn't exist in the manga. And I want to point that out because if people have seen the anime and have judged the work harshly as a result, please read the manga and you will understand that the original author never intended for any of that, and some company with dollar signs in their eyes fucked up a bunch of shit about the story to make an anime they thought would make more money.
It's true.
And I was gonna say it's dead silent now.
Yeah. I was
But
just
I've
having
watched
my
both the-
my 1,000-yard stare of I'm tired of this shit. You know?
Oh, tired of what the anime community has, or not the community, but like the
Certain
business
parts
has done that.
of the anime community, we'll put it that.
That being said, I'm going to juxtapose this by jumping over to a more recent anime with a manga that I enjoyed that is pretty much a one-to-one. And that's My Hero Academia.
Mom Academia.
And I'm
briefly,
checking out.
hang on. I briefly thought about bringing up Shield Hero, but I'm worried that if I bring up Shield Hero, we're going to talk about more sensitive subjects you guys don't want to talk about.
It's because it's so like, oh, you can't watch this because it doesn't fit our fucking narrative. It's like really high on my list of things to watch. But yeah,
You really should. It's a
Hey,
genuinely
look,
good story.
My Hero
For
Academia
those-
is great. My Hero Academia is fantastic. Froggy Tongue is hot, but I'm not allowed to say that really.
No, because she's a high school student. and
Dude.
not an
Yeah.
adult.
do not lewd the frog, please.
I don't.
Oh
You
boy,
tell
has it
that
been
to the
looted,
rest
though.
of the internet.
Jesus Christ!
Look, if I could sit there and go, oh wow, Froggy Tongue, and imagine anything for like a second, the internet. Oh boy,
has drawn
Oh,
every
but
variation of it you
yeah.
can imagine.
they've taken the little crack in the window there and fucking shattered the whole window.
Oh,
I
yeah,
believe there's a
definitely.
meme for this.
Oh yeah, there's a scene where she like spits something up or whatever, and immediately afterwards she has this sort of like face on where she's uncomfortable and her tongue is kind of hanging out, and everyone like was like, "That's a lewd thing," and I don't know if it
Well,
was
because
meant to be or
everybody
not. I have no
immediately,
idea.
like thought it was a higao.
What the
And
fuck?
it's like it's not
what
my
now?
problem. Your internet.
Well,
history
hold on.
is
What's
full
a
of
higao? What is that a? What is that?
Save
What are we
yourself,
talking
you
about?
poor sweet innocent child.
No. I think you're talking about ahego, but
Whatever. I've heard it pronounced that way.
You're talking about I
It's
got
a
it.
hentai
You're
thing. It's
talking
a
about
hentai
the
thing.
sex face.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's what
talking
it
about
is.
the sex face.
the
That's a
anime
good way to
sex
put
face.
it.
Yep.
I just
That's
shouted
what it
that
is.
really loudly, and I'm imagining
You're talking about the sex thing.
I'm imagining either Dad is in the other room having a conniption, or Ringo's in the other room having a conniption, or both. And I laugh at the idea of either of those.
Well, if Ringo was having a conniption, he might actually, join the fucking call. But anyway, I'd rather talk about Shield Hero because I like it a lot more than I like.
But I don't know
My
anything
hero.
about Shield Hero.
From what I
doesn't
understand,
really matter
Shield
to me.
Hero.
either.
From what I understand, Shield
Dude,
Hero
I've watched
is
seasons
Guy
1 and 2 of
becomes
the anime.
Knight. Guy goes out to do knightly things. Princess accuses Knight of rape. Kingdom decides it's easier to just like flush Knight down the toilet than actually do any real investigation. Knight spends the rest of the anime reclaiming his honor. And, like consistently
Knight-
turning down
Wait.
any
Knight-
female attention
Knight
because he's
becomes
traumatized by the way the system has treated him.
Knight becomes best boy.
That
Knight-
part
Knight
is
earns-
very
Knight-
real.
Knight
Actually.
earns all kinds of
The-
honor. Knight shits on the princess, not like that, internet. Not
Not
Not literally.
literally.
Knight gets the princess arrested and expunged. And yeah, that's Rising of the
Okay,
Shield
okay,
Hero.
but
in
I'm not
3
sure. I'm not
chapters.
sure you mean expunge, because if you expunge a person, that's very
That means you killed
different.
him.
It means you killed them and you removed all
Fine,
documentation of
fine.
them from history.
Exiled.
He kind of does that. He makes it so that from now on, she is known as bitch, and she is not allowed to be known by her real name anymore. And when she is using her adventurer persona, she is known as whore and not allowed to be known by her adventurer persona anymore. By the law of the kingdom.
That seems
Which
a
he
little
does.
excessive for me.
Yeah, agreed. He does
Like
this
that-
though
I can see why the
because
show came under fire. Because like I
well,
would
that
have
wasn't the reason.
labeled
First of all, that wasn't the reason the show came under fire. And second of all, that event didn't even occur in the show, nor was it printed in the manga till well after the show came under fire.
Did it come under fire for something having to do with the raccoon child?
No, it came under fire because they had the audacity to show that a woman could ruin a man's life by accusing him of rape.
Oh,
and it doesn't fit the narrative because men are
And
so
because right now the political fight is all about women's rights, then it's wrong to show that this is a problem because it doesn't fit the narrative. And yes, I totally smashed the political line with that, but that's my opinion.
Have
I am
a
man,
whole
and
load. I
kinda
have a whole
just-
truckload of shit to say about that I'm not going to say because I don't personally want
because
to cross the political line.
Jim would say if he was here, you made it political. Cringe.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm gonna be blunt. We're all three guys. Like, when you tell us something like that, obviously we're not gonna take it very well.
No.
So
Like I'm a
just,
libertarian with an egalitarian marriage, so like I'm not about either side of that. where it's
we're
like,
not here to
oh,
make a
women should be
big.
submissive,
Just so
or,
we're clear, we're not
oh,
here to make a
women
big
should be free.
argument about whether or not women's rights are currently doing the right thing or anything like that. We're not trying to make a grand political statement. We're talking about media, and unfortunately media doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it is affected and in turn affects politics in some level. And
Yeah, art
so
to be
there's some
considered
level
art
of having to
generally
just
has some kind of message.
Mhm.
yeah.
All-
And
all
so we
I'll
have
say-
to take that context into consideration when we talk about the art piece itself, if that makes sense.
All I'll say about women's rights is just women should have equal rights to men. That's it.
Yeah. Nobody should be
completely
treated-
agree.
Nobody of any gender or race or whatever have you should be treated as less human than any other human because we're all human.
Correct.
Yes, and that's
No
that's
matter
something
what
I
you
also heavily
believe,
agree.
If you don't
agree
believe in trans
with.
rights, you should
We all
not
live
shit
on
on
this
trans
shitty
people.
planet together. We should be working
Yeah.
together, not fighting amongst ourselves.
It doesn't matter if you believe that trans are or are not valid, they're still human and they deserve the same dignity as everyone else.
Mhm. But We're
With all
not
that
really
being
here to
said,
talk about
just,
that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we just want to make it clear, like one of the reasons that we dodge political issues is because we don't want to get sucked into a whole debate or be told that we're evil because we expressed an opinion that wasn't someone else's opinion or whatever. And unfortunately, media is really bad about that these days. But do understand that when we're dissecting media doesn't exist in a vacuum, and we do have to discuss some level of political stuff to give media context.
Yeah, which is why we then clarify our position. So, like, you need to understand where we're coming from towards this issue.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's one of the reasons why I was like, maybe we talk about My Hero instead, because it wasn't steeped in any political garbage, or at least not very much. To be fair, there is some stuff about whether or not there's lewdness of some underage characters, but
That's like every fucking anime
I was gonna say,
ever.
every
I
anime
get
does
annoyed
that at
because
this
it's
point.
like, well, they
so,
do it to
like,
fucking everybody.
Because, like,
for
here's the
context
thing.
on that,
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Toradora. Okay, if you don't know what Toradora is, that's fine. But Toradora is considered one of, like, the most classic anime of all. It is, like, it is one of the top classic romance anime. It is all about high schoolers and their, their daily dramatic
to be
lives.
honest, you're breathing onto your mic a lot.
oh,
Yeah, you are. And
Toradora.
and there's literally a scene. There's straight up, mind you, the characters are teenagers. They're like 14 to 18, somewhere in there. The high school age. With maybe that's like 15 to 18. I don't know. There's
It's
literally-
like 14 to 18.
There's literally a scene where the main dude character shoves his hand in the main girl character's swimsuit, right on top of her boobie. Now, the context to that
isn't there a scene in like the firefighter one with that too?
Sort of.
The more recent one where it's like
To be fair, the context to that is she has attempted to make her boobs look bigger by putting stuffing in there, and it was starting to fall out, so he stuffed it back in.
but yeah,
the appearance of
could totally the appearance of impropriety.
Mhm.
So like anyway, I was gonna say like probably the animes I've read manga for, there's gonna be Shield Hero, which I think is really good and everyone should read it. My Hero Academia, which I kind of like lost interest in over time. I'll be honest, there's a point where suddenly Midoriya has spoiler alert, by the way, spoiler alert. Midoriya has a superpower. It's a really great superpower. And then recently, and I think they've caught up to this point, or close to caught up to this point in the anime now, all of a sudden, for Deus Ex Machina reasons, he's got more superpowers. And I was like, yeah, that's bad writing.
He has like
If I may,
the quirk he inherited, and then like he awakens his own quirk or something like that.
do you know?
No, the quirk he inherited also comes with 6 other quirks that were part of the quirk he inherited that up till this point we haven't mentioned or said anything about, because even the last guy who had the quirk didn't know about them, because nobody knows that this is the actual nature of the quirk, blah 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 blah.
You know who did the whole has all the
Bad
superpowers,
writing.
right?
Who?
One Punch Man. Because they tell you from the
Yes.
get-go,
That was a
this
manga
is
I
the
read
most
too.
powerful, he's the strongest. He's so fucking strong, he can beat anyone, and he's bored to death. And then they
his
just
whole
roll
thing
with
was
it the whole
well,
time.
was this guy strong? I mean, I still beat him in one punch, so I really can't tell the difference.
Yeah, that's like my favorite part about.
And
You know
I
what
love
I'd
the
like to see,
dichotomy
though?
where it's like there's everybody, fucking every other character is struggling and like having all this trouble defeating whatever bad guy, and he just shows up and like flicks it and it's dead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, there's an arc where they do a whole fucking assault on the monster capital, or whatever, and you see like everything everyone's going through, and both the monster characters going through their own development and the hero characters going through their development, and just fighting to the edge of everything they have, and then the fucking giant ass like destroyer dog that just annihilates everything and no one can touch it. Saitama's just like, you're annoying me, smack, and it's done. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh. And I love how like the heroes who know what they're dealing, like the hero society is annoyed as fuck generally at him being so strong because he's just a class C or whatever.
I love the
I
fact
think
that he
he's a
comes
B
to
now.
the class S meetings,
Class
and the other
S
class S
meeting?
people are like, "Why is he here?" And they're like, "Are you gonna try to fucking stop him?" Like,
Well,
Yeah,
except
right. Try,
for
dude.
King. Except for King, because spoilers, King doesn't actually have any superpowers. He's just claimed he's just taken like claim to like all the acts of ridiculous power that Saitama has, which doesn't bother Saitama. So as it turns out, King's superpower is actually summoning Saitama. They have a very stand user stand relationship in season 2, and it
that
is
definitely
done that way on
amazing.
purpose.
It's brilliantly written. I love it.
I need to go watch season 2.
Yeah.
Bro,
Saitama is
you
basically
do.
King's stand.
That sounds amazing.
Like pretty much any time that King gets in trouble, he just gets like in a megaphone and he's like, "Help me!" And Saitama just shows up and destroys it.
Saitama just shows up, punches something, and is like, "Don't hurt my friends. It's rude."
And I also
Yeah,
love how the
yeah.
the old guy, whatever the fuck his name was,
There's two. The
fucking
martial
Crouching
arts
Tiger
guys.
or whatever, the martial arts guy. I love how he
Silver
One is
like
one is called Bomb and one is called Bang. And then like the other superhero
Bang
that
is
has the
Silver
same.
Fang.
yeah, I think
I
I'm
thought it
talking.
was
I think I'm
Bomb
talking
and
about
Bang.
Bang.
And then you have Blast, who was their previous
All I know is
student
that
who has
old
like
guy,
the exact same powers as Saitama.
that old guy, literally
met
like the
Blast yet.
second Saitama shows up, he reads his chi or whatever, and he's just like, "This guy is fucking could end the world." Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he's
from
like,
that moment on,
you have
he's
all this
just like-
power and absolutely zero style.
He from that moment on, he's like, if he's around, he don't let nobody disrespect Saitama like that. He's like,
No.
bro, if you want to
His
stay
fucking-
alive, you shut the fuck up.
I was gonna say his students like, who's this bald idiot? And then he's like, boy, you sit your fucking ass down and you listen.
Yeah,
good."
he's like,
Yeah.
this bald idiot will absolutely slap the fucking shit out of you.
Oh, not even.
Yeah.
He will turn you into a paste with a slap.
Mm-hmm.
I love his pseudo rivalry with Speed of Sound Sonic, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, if-
you
if
mean
you
the
mean
rivalry
Speed of
that's
Sound
all
Sonic's
in Speed of
simping for
Sound
a
Sonic's
fight
mind?
Yep. Because Saitama just doesn't
Saitama's
care.
like, who are you again?
Yeah, he's
The-
like, what?
The
Who are
only
you?
time Saitama ever cared is when he was trying to level up from rank C to rank B, and he needed to do, or he needed to
He needs
he
to
needed to beat a
defeat the
bad
villain.
guy in order to do that or whatever. And like, and then like when Sonic first shows up, he's like, dude, I don't have time for you. I got to do hero work. Otherwise, like, I'm going to lose my rank in the hero society. And then that means I'll lose my pay. And I need my pay.
And I have to pay for like groceries
so-
and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sonic goes, oh, well, how about I just like, destroy some buildings and try to kill some people, and then I'll be the bad guy and you can fight me. Saitama was like, wait, that's dope. Totally.
Yeah.
That's the only time
favorite
he's ever
part-
cared.
My favorite part of that whole thing is when he's like he's trying to think about like I remember there was some kind of thing going on like 83rd Street. Maybe I can get over there. And then like Sonic swings a sword at him and he's just like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
Bites
he just
the
like
fucking
eats the sword.
Shatters it with his teeth, and he's like, "I'm thinking, leave me alone."
Sonic's just like,
He's just like, "Holy fucking shit!"
Yeah, I bet that put the fear god in him, huh?
I mean, if I'm
really
like some
didn't.
crazy super ninja, and I'm like, I'm gonna
Um,
get this guy, and I swing my like really
I'm gonna be
expensive,
right
like high
back.
tech, like
I
folded
gotta use
50
the
billion
restroom.
times sword, and the dude just fucking bites it, and it shatters into 1,000 pieces. I'd be like, understandable. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Oh man. So, yeah. So Dave reads a lot of manga, or at least he reads a lot
I
of
think-
anime manga.
I think the comprehensive list of,
Well, I
of
guess I'm
manga
holding
that-
it for now.
I think the comprehensive list of manga that I have read is I'm gonna as far as I know, this is in order. I'm gonna try, but we're talking like more than 10 years ago. Vampire Hunter D, Dragon Ball, Alive, and then there's a couple of more in there. I read a couple chapters of BattleTech. I read a couple chapters of I don't even remember what it was called. I remember I read at least one chapter of Black Cat. Like I was like around that time, to give our listeners context, most of this was like at our local library. So I
The
was a
downside
lot
to
more
local
interested.
library.
Well, the downside of local libraries, there's only so much, and if somebody else has it, you have to wait until they check it back in.
Yeah.
And
I was
sometimes they'll just
much
be
much
missing
more
certain
interested.
ones.
Yeah, I was much more interested in like perusing what they had and finding their like 70s, 80s, 90s like barbarian hero Conan, Dragonlance kind of novels, and reading those. So I just didn't read much manga because I was like, oh, well, I can
Meanwhile,
just
I
watch
was
movies.
I was more into like W.E.B. Griffin and Tom Clancy at the time.
Ed Decker too around that period.
Ooh, Ted Decker. Ted
And I
Decker made a whole
was-
universe, but
Yeah, the circle
people
cycle.
don't know about it because it was. No, it's so much more than the Circle Cycle, dude.
Well,
People
I
don't
know there
about it
was
because it was a
W.D.
it was
Webster or
a
whatever, Nitro
Chris-
Black or
it was
whatever.
a Christian series.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
polished
So-
history, or not
So
polished, published-
a lot of people just
published
didn't
in,
never looked
Christian
into it.
publication.
But it's a really interesting take. The main group of books is the Circle Cycle, which is black, red, white, and green are the name of the four books. But you also had the Paradise Duology, Skin, which is an
Oh,
acronym.
speaking of the circle thing, really quick, what was the name of the bat that was like the stand-in for the devil? Because I was trying to remember his name recently.
The specific bat or the
Yeah.
species?
No, I remember the species. The specific bat, he was like blue and gold and in disguise. I remember it
don't
started with an
remember.
L. At least I think
I
it started.
don't
with-
remember. I do remember that there was that he also went by the name of Sav, which was Saav, and it was like a foreshortening of his full name. But I don't recall.
but-
No.
We are here to talk about manga, though.
Yeah.
If
Funny
you-
story. That series actually got a manga.
If you're interested in looking up Ted
It
Decker's
did,
Circle Cycle,
actually, it did.
if you're
Ted
looking,
Decker does have a manga for.
if you're
for-
interested in that, you
The
should go
Circle
look it up
Cycle
and
does have a manga.
and read it. It's its own really interesting sort of
No,
universe. But I was gonna talk about the manga that I read, which way different than Dave's selection, generally speaking.
Yeah,
Um,
you read things
we're not
like
even
My
done with
Average
my whole
Life.
selection, but
But we also have been recording for nearly 2 hours, and I still have like half a script left. So I was
Yeah,
just
we
letting you
have
go
kind of
on
been
for a
all-
while.
yeah.
Yeah. I currently I only read one manga. Although I have interest
Sorry,
in
that was,
another
that
one.
was Trey just jumping in right there. He was showing me some Invincible footage. I'm actually interested to see like what
Yeah, which, by
Ultraman
the
from
way, go
Invincible.
watch that. That's
I'd
really
actually like to
fucking
see Ultraman from Invincible go up against Saitama. That would be an interesting matchup. Omni-Man, yeah. that's
Ultraman
the
is
word.
something else entirely.
Ultraman is Super Saito.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
no.
Super-
Ultraman
Super
is the
Sentai,
original
my bad.
Super Sentai.
Isn't that Sheen's thing from Jimmy Neutron?
That's Ultra Lord.
That's that's Ultra
uh,
Lord.
The fact that I just fucking immediately know that, though.
So anyway, at present, I read one manga series, and I imagine neither of you probably has any idea what it is. But it's called Komi-san Can't Communicate.
I
Yeah,
actually
you're
do
correct.
know
I
what
don't
Or-
that
know
one
what to
is.
say.
Or the longer name, Komi-san is bad at communication.
I actually do know what that one is. I haven't
it's
read it, but I know
a-
the premise of it.
It's like a slice of life comedy romance type thing, centered around high
And it
schoolers
is
because of course it
exactly-
is.
It is exactly what the title says it is.
Yeah. So basically, it revolves around this girl named Shoko Komi, who has what they call a communication disorder, which makes it nearly impossible for her to communicate with people. Which
I'm
it
gonna go
comes
use the
out
bathroom
in
for realsies real quick.
it manifests itself wherein she can't really talk to people, but she has no problem like writing on a piece of paper and showing it to them.
Yeah, I actually
Um,
have a friend who's like that. He is physically capable of speaking, but there's just something in his head that it's part of like a disorder where like he's like basically mute by choice. But it's one of those things like the first time he spoke, he was like 12 years old, and everybody was like so surprised because they were like, "Oh shit, he spoke." And then so like because of that reaction, he like just continued like, "Oh, that's not something I should do." So like he's better about it now. Like he'll talk, but he's like the quintessential quiet kid. But he has no problem writing. Like he texts like anybody else. But like when we were in class, if he was called on, he would like go up to the teacher and then like very quietly say what the answer was, and then go back and sit down, and then the teacher would be like, "This is what he said." Yeah, it's actually like a real thing that happens, and it's like super interesting.
yeah, and
to
this
me.
is what Komi has, or this is what Shoko Komi has going on. She can't. She's not good at talking. There's a few scenes in the
Ringo
manga.
just popped up.
Well,
Should we
Ringo
let him jump in the call? Or has
Ringo
it been too long?
Ringo Dingo can sit this one out. It's already been like 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point, he pretty much has to. Like, if he's gonna go on about the Berserk manga, like
We don't have time for
already
him to
2
go on
hours
about the
into it,
Berserk
yeah,
manga. We already talked over his shit.
he took
Uh,
too long. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, her goal she's just entering high school, and her goal in high school is to make 100 friends, which, as you can imagine, having a communication disorder
Good.
makes it not so
Because
easy.
that's gonna be
That was
super
my goal in
helpful.
high school, and I'm a super extrovert, and I did not make that happen.
Now, see,
Yeah.
she befriends, or rather, is befriended by, Hito Tadano. That's his name.
Whatever that means.
They
I'm
mostly
sure
just
that
call
means
him-
something, and I'm like,
They mostly just call him Tadano-kun. And he's
Why do you have to say it like that though?
say it
that's
like what?
the
like what?
name.
I know. It's just like you
Would you
sound like when you're
rather I was like, yeah, so this lad named Haito Tadenado.
No, it's just that like you raise your voice an octave and you're like basically you do the nika nika ni thing but with
No.
Hito Tadano.
and you do like you put on a Japanese accent and everything
Hito Tadano.
like
Because that's how it's
full
fucking pronounced.
blown full blown
When I speak
otaku
Spanish,
level.
I speak with a like a Mexicana accent.
You
Because that's how
attempt to. You attempt to. I
it's been-
promise
it-
you,
It's better
your
more
American
lately.
accent just stomps that into oblivion.
It's been better lately. I still think it's funny. The one time I was like, I'm gonna go like full super white boy. Alex was like, hold up, I'm about to call immigration. I'm trying to get sent back after that. I was like, he gets on and he was like, oh hey, what's good? And I was like, mi lamo el gringo.
Oh man!
Yeah, his response was
Oh,
just like,
dude.
hold up, I'm trying to call ICE and get sent back. I ain't here to listen to that.
Wow.
Oh my god! Wow, that is It's like that episode of Family Guy where they've got all the people together. It's like I I love salsa on my tacos on a corn tortilla, and I'm like,
I
that is
sure
the
do love me
whitest.
them burritos with them corn tortillas.
Yeah, it's
Bunch of
like
taco meat and jalapeno sauce.
Wow, I can't even.
it's
I can't
it's like
even.
the
Jalapenos are
whitest.
so
It's like the
spicy.
whitest shit.
I'd
Can we
say
mention really
Anyway.
quick?
call it,
Can we mention really quick? We're from Arizona in the Southwest, so we hear
Oh
this
yeah,
stuff
so
properly pronounced all the
all
time.
the time.
We make
Yeah.
most people
so
here
when
pronounce
Like
it with
if you were walking
Spanish
down the
accent.
street here in Arizona and you were like, I'm gonna go get me a tortilla or a taco, you would get slapped.
Yeah, like even the white
Yeah.
people here will look at you like you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That being said, we're originally from Minnesota, where people talk that way
Where people say tortillas and
because
pasta,
they don't know how it's properly pronounced.
don't you
Pasta.
know?
Don't you know? Oat in a boat.
Oat in a boat, and don't you know?
Yeah.
So for our listeners, my wife is an Arizona native who was raised by Texans, so she's got like that full South kind of culture with like the Arizona flavor in it. So when we went up to Minnesota and people were talking like that, somebody actually told her when we left a restaurant to have a super duper day, and she almost threw up. It was the funniest fucking thing to watch.
That sounds amazing.
But like that's really how they talk up there. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't believe it.
But
and then somebody
anyway,
told her unironically
super
to have a
duper day.
super duper day.
we're very,
She's
very
like,
way off the rails.
yeah, this
yeah.
is all me talking about
So-
you trying to do a Japanese accent.
So this guy Tadano, he's literally described as the most average person, and they drive that home by they show at some point there's like an arc, quote unquote, where they have like their tests, like their high school tests, whatever, semester finals or whatever the fuck, and everybody gets varying grades except Tadano, who gets literally the exact number that is the average score on his test.
50%.
They're like, yep, he's average. And they keep doing stuff like that where he'll order like vanilla ice
Hey,
cream
this
and they'll
guy's
be like,
average.
yep,
This
he's
is
average.
he's totally average. It's
Yeah.
100% average. Just
Mhm.
a normal dude. Nothing at all interesting about this
Nothing
character
sinister happening
whatsoever.
here.
Here's
Totally
the
not.
thing. When
works
you
for
do
MI6.
that, whenever you do that as a reader, I'm like, there's definitely something interesting about
There's
this character.
not.
And you're just not
There's-
telling me.
there's not. I mean, other
That's
than where
fair. I'm
they
used to,
show
like-
you a flashback of his past where he went when he was not in high school but in middle school, and he tried to be a delinquent for a while, and he just every time he thinks about it, he cringes really hard.
You know what's
and-
funny is your average middle school student tries to be a delinquent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They really said
that's
that.
true.
um,
That's the funniest part of that to me.
so it comes as a surprise to people that these two are friends, because people tend to they see because Komi is like this really beautiful, kind of has a little bit of a resting bitch face, people think she's aloof because she doesn't talk to anyone. They see her as like this ice queen, and then they're like, whoa, how did this guy become friends with her? Oh, and by the way, they really drive that one home too, because
I actually kind of want to read this / watch this now because
there's no watching, there's no
that's
anime
like-
of it. It's just a manga.
Okay, I kind of want to read this now because like that sounds a lot like the experience I had with a couple people in high school. Like there was this one particular chick whose name was Jessica, and she had like super resting bitch face. But I'm like a fucking puppy dog where I'm like, everybody is a potential friend. And so we would just like hang out because we had the 9 a.m. class period off. So we had 8 a.m. to 9, and then we had 9, and that was a class. And then we had 9 to 10, there was no class for us and several other people. And then back at 10, then there was another class, and then you had lunch at 12, etc. Yeah, so we just sort of de facto started hanging out because there weren't a whole lot of people. And I was like, you're like, actually, you're super cool and chill. and people were all like, "How the fuck are you two friends?" Because like she didn't talk to anybody. Different person than the guy who actually has trouble talking to people. She just wasn't like she wasn't there to be super social. She was just like, I'm just like, this is high school, something I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like that's actually like really interesting to me. When you have setups like that, especially when it's handled well, because like I've lived through situations like that where it's like because they're just people, that's why they're friends.
Let me read the rest of what I have written here for that, and we'll see if you still want to read it. So basically, who Komi actually is she's this really shy, adorable cinnamon roll of a character, and people come to see that when they get to know her. But her first friend is Tadano, and her second friend is a very popular, very outgoing, very energetic, very gender neutral character named Najimi. And they
Well, you had it continuing to be average till the end there.
basically they exaggerate a lot of these characters' characteristics, but they tell you like there's like a summer vacation part, and they're like, oh yeah, Najimi, he's got like 200 appointments to hang out with people today. See, and there's a whole last summer vacation.
When the Game Grumps complained about the writing of Sonic Boom, and they were like, Amy's character is just girl. And I'm like, this sounds like they just really exaggerate one thing to say, like, this guy's character is popular, not popular gender neutral guy. This guy's character is totally fucking normal. Like,
I'll put it this way. No, it's not like that. I've compressed this for time reasons.
Gotcha.
They're not that exaggerated. They actually have character to them. Just a few of the other characters really quick that she ends up friends with. There's like the tall, buff, scary looking guy who his name is Katai. He's actually a teddy bear and also has a communication disorder, just like Komi. Although he's able to speak a little bit, but he sees her somehow or other. Like there's a scene where like she's talking or she's like communicating by writing on a paper with Tadano, and somehow he twists this around in his head as, oh, she's a master of communication. So he refers to her as sensei all the time.
Well, probably because he has this issue and he sees somebody else.
Yes.
Just like coping with the issue, and he's just like,
exactly. Yeah.
I should get involved with this person because this person, and so like I can learn from this person.
There's also Ren Yamai, who is a yandere, and that's all I have to say about that. And
that's
there's
all we need to know.
Yeah.
I know there's people who get like violently jealous, but like it's such an overdone trope.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's played down a lot. It's like a really it's
becoming more and more.
It's weird to say this.
Yandere.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's weird to say this, but it's like a soft yandere. Like the worst thing she's done so far, and it's still bad, but like she kidnapped Tadano at some point, and threw him in her closet so that he couldn't interrupt her going to talk to Komi or whatever. So he wasn't at school the whole day because he was locked in her closet. And then she ends up inviting, because she's dumb also, she ends up inviting Komi over to her house, not realizing that she still has all her pictures of Komi all over her walls, and Tadano locked in her closet. She didn't think about that. And unsurprisingly...
This, of course, freaks out Tony,
yes. Yes. But somehow they still end up as friends, even though that happens. And then, of course, there's a character named...
she doesn't want to get stabbed in the middle of the night.
There's a character named Manbagi, who is another... She's like the best girlfriend of Komi at this point. But do you know that trope? I don't know what it's called, but it's where they're like sort of dark-skinned, but they've got blonde hair, and they have like rhinestones all over their face, and like ridiculously like weird painted nails and stuff.
It's called Californian.
I mean, more or less. When you first meet when you first meet Munbagi, she's one of those, and she has
To
like
interrupt
3
really,
more
really,
of those.
really quick. To interrupt that, Arizona has a deep rivalry with California for people who don't know, who might be listening in another part of America or overseas if it ever reaches there.
Which is mostly just California believing that they're morally superior to Arizona, and Arizona being like,
I didn't want to start this argument. This isn't the point.
Yeah,
Continue.
please
I do
no.
know the trope you're talking about, but the trope you're talking about is usually like that's like the easy girl that you're definitely gonna bang. That's kind of
So-
I wouldn't call it that.
that's usually what
So-
Sometimes
that trope
coded
turns
as
into.
easy. Sometimes they're coded as easy, but it's usually like they generally are like the hard ass, who then like the main character does.
You know, that is true.
and
They
then
are
become, like,
generally a hard ass.
exasperated
They're
by-
also usually the
because
one
it's
that like
they've never
professes to hate
experienced, like-
men.
Yeah, but they've like never experienced like true, honest, like genuine.
So she's one of those when you first meet her. But there's a point where she's like she's mad because Komi's more popular, like Komi's getting more attention, and she's like, I put all this effort into the way I look and nobody's paying attention to me. And she ends up
Those ones are usually
Yeah.
popular girls in some way, shape, or form.
so she ends up at some point like running to the bathroom or something like that, but Komi's there in the bathroom, and then she has a whole discussion, like she has a whole, well, I wouldn't say discussion necessarily because Komi doesn't talk, but she has a whole, like, she rants at Komi for a while. Actually, I think what happens is she ends up taking up, if I recall correctly, she ends up taking off her makeup because she's like, why the fuck did I put in all this effort to put all this on? It's not doing anything for me. And she ends up taking off her makeup.
I think she takes and then like stopped, and I was like, is he gonna say she takes
no.
a massive dump?
However the fuck it happens,
That's a
I
bit
don't
uncomfortable.
exactly recall. Essentially, Komi ends up telling her, because Komi doesn't say many words, but Komi basically ends up telling her, like, you're pretty without your makeup. You don't need it. And then after that, she never wears any of that shit ever again. And then she's like best friends with Komi after that too. Like they not like in the weird, not like the Renya Mai way where she's like, I want to see Komi's underwear, because that's like her whole character. Monbagi is just like, yo, you want to go shopping? And Komi's like, yeah, I do. But she writes it on a piece of paper.
It's because it's like a trope where like these people have never been shown genuine compassion. So
Mhm.
when they're shown genuine compassion, they're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is what I've been missing my whole life. And then they can be a person to this person.
Yep. Yeah, that
And,
is actually a trope.
Yeah, and it's just a really nice manga. I enjoy it a lot. Wow, we actually have been going
no,
for.
You're actually convincing me to read it more than less.
I mean, I have the first like 13 volumes. I think that's as many as are released right now. I have all of them.
So much reading though.
Whatever. Just it's
Yeah,
available if
writing to be clear.
it's available if you
Meanwhile,
decide you want
over
to.
here, I'm over here buying MH World, the complete series, the Hyrule Story, Mabusteri.
So I
Big
have a
nice
little bit
storm.
more to say, but I have a little bit more to say, but we're at about 2 hours, so I'm gonna compress it a little bit. But I wanted to like go over the like main genres of manga, which applies to anime as well, because anime comes from manga. But instead of going into detail, I will just sort of briefly go over them. So basically, there's shonen manga, which is targeted at like teen boys, and it's stuff like Dragon Ball and Naruto and My Hero Academia. That's all shonen manga.
It's the superhero genre basically.
Well, you could put it that way, I guess. Not always.
I
but
don't feel like One
Pretty
Punch
sure
Man is shonen
means
though.
There's
Would One Punch Man be shonen?
No, well, sort of, but it's specifically
kinda.
I feel
There's-
like it's geared more towards adults though.
There's
It's
shoujo.
geared towards adults who grew up watching.
Shoujo is the same thing, but it's aimed at teen girls. So stuff like Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura,
Magical
Fruits
girls,
Basket.
magical girl stuff.
There's seinen, which is personally that's kind of where I think One Punch Man falls a little bit. Seinen is manga targeted at adult men, and that's stuff like Berserk, Akira, Blame, Monster, stuff like that. Hellsing.
I would say Hellsing is aimed at teen boys.
There's Josei, which is manga targeted at adult women, so stuff like Loveless, Carnival, Honey and Clover.
Man, you actually know all that stuff.
I know. I'm
I
looking
would've
at it.
been
No,
like, I
I'm
know
looking
that
at an
the-
article.
Oh, I'm looking at an article.
That's. I was like, man, you are such a savant. Man
Yeah,
of such
and you're
culture and
incorrect.
Understanding.
I don't
and,
want to be known as something I'm
you're
not.
like, no.
And then the fifth genre is how do I pronounce this? Kodomomuke. It's manga targeted at children, and that's stuff like Pokemon.
Yeah,
That's their example, by the way.
Digimon.
Pokemon. It's just That's what they have. They have Pokemon. That's their example.
Digimon
Okay,
would also work.
that's that's a brief, incredibly quick, because we're running out of time, brief guide to like the main 5 of manga. There's also stuff like this, like slice of life and romance, comedy, whatever, but those kind of are subgenres of the other 5. But
You can't have 6 and have a full Infinity anime.
Yo, I would
But-
love that.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Oh, and also sports manga, stuff like Eye Shield 21 and Bamboo Blade.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, there's number 6.
Oh, by the way, in
now
case you wanted to
somebody's like
know,
a manga where they have the Infinity Stones of each manga.
in case you wanted to know, Initial D counts as a sports manga because racing is a sport.
That's not accurate.
So, just to kind of make this fun, and also Ringo can miss out on this because he didn't wake the fuck up. But just to kind of make this fun, we've never done this before. But I put together a little quiz. Since we're talking about
what, for
manga,
us?
yeah, I put together a quiz for you guys, and it's gonna be much easier for you too because Ringo's not here. So,
You're older.
I selected some of the top selling of all time manga. And basically there's 14 of them, and I'm going to briefly describe the manga, and you're going to tell me what you think it is.
I think this is going to be easy for me, who has
Each-
read like maybe
each
4
answer.
manga in my-
Each answer is worth 2 points. And
So
I'm
what
going
you're saying is
to
Dave wins. Because I will probably get 2 points.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll be keeping score and we'll see who wins. So are you guys ready for a fun manga related quiz?
No, but let's do it.
Sure, I guess.
We weren't expecting this. This
wasn't
is how
expecting it. No.
this is how we're ending the episode today.
Alrighty then. I guess we're testing our manga knowledge.
So
Old millennials, not
You said you picked 14 popular mangas?
I said
14
I picked 14 of the
popular
best selling of all time mangas.
Oh.
means theoretically you should.
Which means some of them
recognize.
I will probably know.
Some of them
because
you
Dragon Ball's
probably
gotta
will
be on
know.
that list.
So, number 1, a young man and his friends go on a journey to find something very dear to them, something that will help them become the best of the best.
Sounds like Pokemon.
I'm gonna say that sounds like Pokemon.
It is not Pokemon.
Wow.
All right.
Any more
Are you gonna
guesses?
tell us what it is, or are you just gonna ask us the next question?
Hold on. Read that again. A boy and his friends.
A young
You
man
gave
and
your
his
answer.
friends.
Next question.
Is that what we're gonna do? One. Are we're just gonna do one answer per
One guess.
one guess? Is that how you want to play it? One
Okay.
guess? Okay,
All right,
fine.
We'll go with it.
It's not Pokemon.
Although-
It is One Piece.
Well, there you
Of
go.
course. That's I did watch a lot of One Piece, but damn,
I'm
I
not
could
even-
not commit
I
to
haven't,
500
and by
plus
now
episodes.
I'm not even gonna try because there's like
Bro,
400.
there's almost 500 episodes of it. I don't have time in my life.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother anymore. Like it's
I'm an
just
adult with a job and shit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Number 2. A pair of children go on an adventure to find items of legend, and along the way make new friends and save the world.
Dragon Ball.
A pair of children.
Hmm.
Yeah, Bulma and Goku. That's Dragon Ball.
He's correct. It's Dragon Ball.
I was gonna say that could be Dragon Ball
So Zeta is in the lead with 2 points.
with 2
There,
points.
That's my 2 points. I won't get the rest of them. That's the only one I'm gonna
Alright.
know.
Are you ready, lads, for question 3?
No, but let's. Do
I can't hear you.
SpongeBob is not a manga. Negative 2 points.
No.
Okay. A genius prodigy child solves mysteries and helps the police uncover hidden truths.
Case closed.
Death Note.
Actually, Dave is correct. It's Case Closed / Detective
I've never
Conan.
heard of
I've
Case
never
Closed.
watched it, but I have read I've read the thing, and I was like, "There's no way that Death Note would be described this way, so it's got to be Case Closed."
It's not Death
Yeah,
Note, though. I
unless-
could see where you would get
yeah.
that from.
I'm giving my best guess based on the few ones that I know.
Yay! I have points now.
You're tied 2 for 2. Number 4. This manga follows the life of a small boy, his friends and family, and his dog as they go through their daily lives, encountering hilarity all the while. It's very, very
Young
popular
boy,
in
his
Japan and not so
family.
much in the West.
And his
Uh,
dog.
Momotaro.
No.
I don't think Momotaro has a self anime, does it? Or
Well, we're talking
manga?
manga. I'm pretty sure it's been adapted into a manga.
Well, they use elements of it in a lot of manga and
The
anime.
funny
but
thing is, like, you give these descriptions, and half of these, in my brain, I immediately just go, "That kind of sounds a little bit like Journey to the West," and I'm like, "That's funny because."
Yeah, you're just thinking of Dragon Ball again.
I really don't think I know what this one is. I'm just gonna.
I got.
Just take
no
a
I
guess.
can't even think of I can't even think of an anime where a dog is an important part of the show.
Yeah, like I'll be straight up honest with you. My best guess is Blue's Clues, and that's not even a manga.
Okay. Would you like a hint?
Yes, please.
The Game Grumps have done a playthrough of a game based in this series.
That really doesn't.
And it was, to be specific, it was during JonTron era Game Grumps.
Okay, that.
I was gonna say, so it's not Danganronpa. I was like, I can't imagine that would be Danganronpa. That would be like some weird way to like.
There was a popular animation made off of their episode.
Oh,
I am
man.
tired.
Oh, is that the one that Friend Dog comes from?
No, that's with Dan.
I am friend Clarence.
Oh, that's true. That is with Dan.
That's fairly recent comparatively.
Man, I don't know.
It's
Oh,
the one
I
where
didn't
they're
watch a lot of
talking about.
Tron era.
It's the one where they're talking about going to the expose.
I didn't watch a lot of JonTron era Game Grumps, so
So do you give up then?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I do, man. I do not know this at all.
Yeah, I don't fucking know what that is.
Crayon Shinchan.
Yeah, I would never have guessed the name that as a name.
Rayon Shinchan.
No
Again,
way.
it's very, very popular in Japan, not so much in the West.
That sounds
no way
like
I would have guessed
Girls
that
in the
shit.
Purple Crayon. Plus a dog.
No, not even. It's way more not as cool. Incidentally, that's why it's not so popular over here.
Because we have fucking Harold and the Purple Crayon, yo.
All right, you ready for number 5?
Sure, let's hope it's one we've actually like.
I know it's one both of you have
some-
heard. I know it's one both of you have heard of. I don't know if you've read it. This manga follows several generations of a family as they learn to wield their powers for good and protect the world from a generations-old evil.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That is
Yeah,
correct. That is
yeah,
JoJo's
that's-
Bizarre Adventure.
Because I was sitting there thinking, like, yeah, that's like there's like 3 different generations involved with that. So yeah, like that.
I feel like there's a whole bunch of.
Oh
that's
yeah,
the
there's
only
a
one I can
whole
think of that
there's a
has
whole
that, like,
second universe now called Steel Ball Run. That is also
what
the same.
fuck?
Oh yeah, it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but they're horse racers instead of like delinquents. Yeah, it's the same. It's like the same lineage and everything, but it's fucking they're horse racers. So their stands,
God
their
damn.
stands are just horses. There's no anime of it, by the way. It's all manga.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like something that would make a great anime. Or
You thought Farlap was going to win the race, but it was me, Dio.
Yo. Anyway, moving on. I'm in the lead now.
Are you ready for number 6?
We both got that one. Well, I guess you guessed it first, for sure.
He did. He said it like a full 3-4 seconds before you did.
Well, he said JoJo, and I just was like, yeah, there's not really anything else that could be.
Yeah.
And then, like, at the same time as I was saying, yeah, you said that is correct.
Number 6. A boy goes off into the world searching for something precious to him. Along the way, he makes several friends and makes his way through many deadly trials.
You just
Pokemon?
described like 80 million fucking animes.
Yeah.
But okay.
Pokemon?
It's
It's not Dragon Ball because we've already done that.
it's not Pokemon.
Is it Hunter x Hunter?
It is Hunter x Hunter.
Also,
Oh yeah.
these are only manga, right? So, like, if I know him, well, I mean, I'm sure
Some
manga-
of the
You can
manga
know
do
that
have anime.
Some of them do have anime adaptations. So if you know the anime adaptation, you can use that knowledge.
Well, that's kind of what I was. It was what I was getting at is because I was like, well, what if Magi comes up? Because like I've seen Magi, but I've not read
The manga.
the manga.
There's. Can I say something really quick on that? There's a whole chapter of the Magi manga that happens before the anime takes place that explains everything about why they're there and what they're doing that they just didn't put into the original show for some reason.
Well, because why would we need context? Am I right?
Magic boy
Anyway.
summoned genie to do good. That is show. Anyway, moving on.
I mean, what the fuck about Sinbad? I mean, Jesus.
Sinbad comes in way later, dude. Like,
Okay, so number 7. A young magic user spends his time perfecting his magic after accidentally causing a horrible accident during his childhood.
The story of Warlick in Artix Entertainment.
no.
No, this is a manga.
I
does have-
attempted to say
It has 2 anime adaptations.
Okay, now I'm absolutely dead ass certain I know what it is.
Konosuba?
It's not.
Nope, it's Full Metal Alchemist, my dude.
It is Full Metal Alchemist.
What's the? Is it Konosuba that the meme explosion comes from?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was because that was what my guess was explosion, but I didn't know if that was actually Konosuba.
Number 8. I don't know if either of you will know this one, to be quite honest with you. Number 8. A delinquent kid hunts demons with his friends.
Okay, that one I would guess is Blue Exorcist.
Yeah. Well,
Because there's more to the story of Demon Hunter than that, and Demon Hunter's too new, I think, to be on the top seller category.
yeah, I was gonna say Demon Slayer, but I'm like, no. It just
It
hasn't
is-
had the time.
Neither of those.
Ah,
Well,
what is
there
it
we
then?
go.
It is Yu Yu Hakusho.
Fucking,
Yeah, of course.
of course it is.
Fucking anime I watched 3 episodes of 15 years ago.
Yeah,
that I would never have
exactly.
thought of.
You say it, then it's just like, oh yeah, that.
But that is exactly what it is, though.
It
Yeah.
is, that is true.
And if
He's
I
not
added
lying.
any more detail than that, it would have been too easy of a question.
Yep, it really would have. Yeah.
Okay, number 9. A new student at a famous school must learn to cope with the strange abilities of his fellow students.
That sounds like My Hero Academia.
You're correct. You get
I was
2
gonna say,
points.
I'm not sure on that one, but
It's like it's either that or whatever that one where he was like on average or whatever it was called on Webtoon, where he's like, "Oh,
Unordinary? But we're
Yeah,
talking
that
about.
one. Where he's
my
like,
But
God,
we're
"I'm
talking
considered
about
normal 'cause I don't
manga.
have superpowers."
But we're talking about
Exactly.
manga, not
Well,
webtoons.
manga.
That's the only other thing I could think of that could possibly describe that, and that's not a manga.
Yeah. And I was like, My Hero? It can't be My Hero. There's no way.
I mean, it
How
is
does
though,
that make so much money so fast?
because it was
that's kinda where I was like,
because
man.
this is why,
Shonen.
because it's like superhero anime. You get all kinds of superheroes, and oh, by the way, same time as Avengers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It's
You know,
really
that
just
does
anime
make
Young
sense.
Avengers.
Their timing
That
was
is
pretty
true.
perfect on that.
I
Okay,
don't think
so
about shit like that.
number 10. I don't know if either of you will know this one either, but I put it on here because it's fun. Number 10. A boy and his dad get cursed, and now he's a girl.
I know this one, but I don't know the name of it. He like has he switches between like boy and girl, and he has a whole fucking experience with that. I'm dead on the money, aren't I?
Can you give
Yeah, but you
me
can't name it.
any
so.
fraction
The
of what the
name?
name is?
I
haven't
don't know the
watched it, so I'm not even
name.
gonna try.
I never like watched it. I just know
There's-
it exists because
okay.
friends of mine have talked about
There's
it.
a number in the name. If you can guess the number correctly, I'll give you the 2 points.
1, 2,
It's not 1 or
3,
2. Thanks for
4.
you're giving him wrong
Five.
answers.
One guess, buddy. One guess. Remember?
Yeah, I know. I'm being confused. I have no fucking clue. I've never heard of anything remotely like
Oh. I want to see if I'm right about something.
Is it 42069?
No.
And I'm not interested.
Is it a fraction?
It is a fraction.
1/2.
It is 1/2. The title of the manga is Ranma 1/2.
With I was gonna say it starts with R, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Rasmussen 1/2. What?
Ranma 1/2.
Ranma 1/2. All right. I'm only taking 1 point for that one because I didn't know the whole name.
If you say so.
I'm just saying that sounds fair to me. Like I knew the anime, but I didn't know what it was called. So
Okay, number 11. This describes a lot of things, but here we go. A guy with a sword runs around killing stuff and getting money.
We were talking about this in the car the other day. Wolf dude. What the fuck is his name?
oh,
What is his name?
It's Inuyasha.
No, it's not.
Uh,
Though that
How
does
is it not
it describes the Inuyasha, but no, it's not.
it describes a lot of things.
Well,
Samurai
yeah,
Deeper Kyo.
it describes a lot of things.
It is not Samurai Deeper Kyo.
Damn.
No,
All right,
he
what is
doesn't
it?
get money.
Do you want to know what
That's
it
why I
Does
didn't
is?
get money?
He doesn't
Samurai
know.
Champloo?
You want
Is
to
it
know what?
Afro Samurai?
Do you want to know what it is?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The
Maybe lost
Berserk
it on
manga.
Oh my god. Of
Fucking-
course.
You got us with the a sword and not a giant sword.
Yeah,
It is
that's what
a sword.
happened. If he said a giant sword, we would have been like Berserk.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would have been like, it's fucking Berserk.
I say a
That's
sword, and
the
you're like,
giant
sword,
sword anime.
manga, gotta be a katana. It's fucking Inuyasha. Nope. Berserk.
Well, because I was like trying to be clever, right?
Well,
and
the
be
sword
like,
in
it's gonna
Inuyasha
be-
isn't a katana.
one of
It's
the
like a
old
big fucking
ones.
wide sword. The other one I was gonna say was Rurouni Kenshin.
And well, that's
I
a
don't
good
think-
guess. No.
He's not like a mercenary though.
No, but he does make money just kind of like helping the town.
That's fair, I suppose. Anyway, neither of us got that one.
Number 12.
Yeah.
A mysterious kid and his friends participate in multiple sports tournaments where he continues to prove that he is the best at the sport.
Yu-Gi-Oh! It's Yu-Gi-Oh!
It is in fact Yu-Gi-Oh!
Because there's a season 0 where he does all the games, and Duel Monsters only exists after season 1. And nobody knows about that because they don't watch season 0 because it never got an English dub.
Well, I mean,
Zeta's just like, I don't even.
It's like it's unfair. You had information I didn't.
it's just I already knew I don't like you have information I don't because you've just read more manga than me. Like I'm not surprised by this in the least.
So, number 13. A girl and her friends save the world from darkness and bring light and hope to the people around them.
Sailor Moon.
I was gonna say I'm gonna give him a chance on that one.
I'm
thinking it's Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. Yes.
Because Linda described that to me almost verbatim what you just said.
All right. I was like, I was like, that one's super easy.
I think when Elisa
14.
told me about it, it was verbatim what you just said.
Number 14. A strange young man rescues a princess and they go on a road trip to find his friends.
A strange young man
What was that?
rescues a princess.
7 Deadly Sins?
You're correct. It is 7 Deadly
What the
Sins.
fuck?
Damn! I did not get that one.
Because I'm like, yeah, he's kind of strange, and she turns out to be a princess. I guess that works. I'll go with that one.
Never mind. I'm not going to spoil anything.
So, surprise, lads. There's a bonus 15th question.
Of course, there is.
It's worth double points. So, Zeta, if you get this one, you will be in the lead.
Oh.
So the likelihood of me getting this is like 2-1 against me. So
if it's any consolation, if he made this a bonus question, I probably won't get it either.
Are you ready?
no, but let's do it anyway.
Are you ready for some football?
So, I feel like this one's too easy for a bonus question, but here we go. The most powerful man in the world lives his daily life constantly interrupted by people and monsters.
I was going to say it's One Punch Man.
It is absolutely One Punch Man, and that puts Zeta in the lead with 12 points, and Dave has 11.
We'll count it as 12 because he got that one that he refused to take full points for.
I didn't deserve it. I didn't get the name.
All right, well,
So
fine.
congratulations,
fucking loser.
Zeta. You won the manga
You
quiz.
are the weeb. You are the greatest weeb. The weebiest weeb.
But deep
I am
down,
the Lord of Weebs.
deep down, we all know the real loser here is Ringo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't here about gloating. He wasn't here to gloat about knowing that one question about Berserk manga.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right.
He would have just gloated that one.
Wait,
Well,
so if I'm the Weeb King, does that mean I get to marry Hatsune Miku now?
I'm pretty sure you've already done that
you're
and
already
divorced her.
Yeah, I have
So-
married and divorced Hatsune
Hatsune
Miku.
Miku. Totally.
Anyway, yeah, so this has been the tutorial on manga. If you learned something, let us know what you
Bye.
learned.
Hopefully, it's not the dire consequences of the nuclear bomb.
And if you enjoyed the fun quiz, let me know, because maybe next time I run an episode, I'll do another one.
It does seem nice to have a more interactive segment with everybody, because I feel like a lot of the times, like especially in a thing like this, you clearly have like one or two people who know a lot more than the other one or two people, and then those other two people are just like quiet the whole time and don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up having more to say than I thought I would, so that's nice.
So, I believe that's it for this week. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, which we're not on yet.
By the time you listen to this, we might be.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.